So I said to the woman, I said, oh, are you guys married? And she said, no, we're not married. And I said, are you boyfriend and girlfriend? She said, nope. I said, so why are you here? And she's like, oh, we just like to hang out and blah, 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 blah.
How old were you?
I would have been 9, maybe 10.
Okay.
And I said, oh, so you're a slut.
Stop.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Laughing Couple podcast with your hosts, Brittany and Ryan Ostafy. Join them weekly as they discuss topics such as relationships, kids, sex, parenting, all unfiltered and all with a healthy dose of laughter. Please welcome your hosts, Brittany and Ryan Ostafy.
Slappy, slappy. Make daddy happy.
Okay, really quickly, the grossest thing just happened. I think this is probably one of my, not biggest fears, but one of my fears. This actually happened to me a few years ago, but it wasn't an earwig. So basically Cooper has, like, our kids have Yetis, the straw ones that they fold down, and he just went to go take a sip of it and then just casually was like, oh, ew, and like spit something out. And then I was like, what? And he was like, oh, there was an earwig in my straw. And I was like, ugh, but I was trying not to be like panicky because that is just the absolute grossest. And he was like, yeah, that was kind of funny on my tongue. And I was like, was it funny? Because I would be projectile vomiting.
The story gets worse.
Oh, yeah. It was still alive.
I walked up. Yeah. The dang thing's just kind of like crawling away. Like, oh, I just saved myself from that death.
There is an earwig infestation in Ontario.
Well, there's an earwig infestation here, wherever here is.
Yeah, no, it is in Ontario. TikTok told me.
Because it's insane. And
so gross.
So there's two things about earwigs. Number one, earwigs for me always reminds me of my sister, Michelle.
Okay.
My sister, Michelle, one time sat on a toilet.
Oh, yeah.
And an earwig pinched her ass. Like straight up pinch, like, ow, there's an earwig on my butt. Anyways, I always thought to myself, how does that ever happen?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, 2 weeks ago, while I was going to the washroom, after I was finished, I stood up and guess what?
There was an
earwig walking up the side of the toilet. So had I done my normal stay and play, I would have, I too would have been pinched by
pay for once, play at 3. Like, what's that?
What?
Like the resorts.
Oh, the resorts. Yeah.
Stay at 1.
Stay at 1, play at 3.
Yeah. Sit on the toilet for pee, but also poo and a little master boo. I don't know why that came up.
I got a funny story about that.
Anyways, it was freaking disgusting.
Anyways, yeah. The other thing about earwigs. So yesterday I'm in the back, or 2 days ago, I'm in the back with Mike and we see earwigs. And I said to Mike, do you have a bunch of earwigs in your house? He's like, yeah, it's crazy. And then I went over to said earwig and the motherfucker flew away.
They fly.
And that's what I said. I said, Mike, earwigs don't fly. He's like, no, they don't. I'm like, this one did.
Maybe it wasn't an earwig.
I'm thinking
like a hybrid, like, version of them.
I truly believe that
I'm honestly getting physically ill thinking
insects, like the speed in which an insect multiplies, therefore genetically modifies itself, is like way faster than what we're capable of doing. And I can swear to you that ladybugs when I was a kid are not the same ladybugs that I see today.
Oh God, it's like the Mandela effect of insects.
Well, maybe it is. Maybe we're living in a different time zone. Maybe we're living in a different alternate reality.
Riddle me this, people. Do you remember earwigs flying?
Yes or no?
Because it's a hard no for me.
Yes or no? Do you remember ladybugs being aggressive?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
No, they were never aggressive.
No.
They were gentle.
They were gentle, not even giants. I was going to say little gentle giants. They weren't. In fact, what's that TV show that Riley and Cooper used to watch where they're the elves and they fly on them?
Oh, I don't even know. Something in Kingdom. Like whatever Kingdom.
Anyways, that TV show, the ladybug is depicted as a really nice, innocent little thing. But that's how I remember ladybugs.
You might have been bitten by a beetle thing that looks like a ladybug.
The writers of that show obviously are from my generation and they have fond memories of ladybugs. Ladybugs are not nice anymore. They're aggressive and they fly. Well, I guess they've always flown.
Speaking of bugs, I was away this weekend at Eco Adventures. It is glamping at its finest. I went last year with my mom, but I went this time with two of my girlfriends. It was so much fun. And I'm going to talk about some things that were like, not like people don't care about that. Like we had a great time, but I want to say two things. One, it's like, you know, the saying, what grinds my gears? I have now just officially noted that it's going to be called for me, what turns my tits. I don't want to be Peter Griffin. I want my own because that's what it's from, right?
You know what yanks my dick?
No, it has to be like alliteration, like T&T, like turns my tits. So like, you know what pisses off my penis? Like, like it has to be the same letter.
You know what disappoints my dick?
When I'm not getting any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what disappoints my dick when it's not being used.
Okay.
Oh, Brittany, another D&D night, I guess.
Everyone thinks you're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Oh God, Ryan's on the D&D again. Okay.
I got nothing but D&D tonight. Big night? Little D&D. Disappointed dick.
Okay. We're never going to be able to say this in front of our friends.
Whatever twists my tits.
Yeah. This is what twists my tits.
But grinds my gear. Oh, yeah. G&G. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, my God.
He's like, but grinds is with a G and the other one's with a J. Okay, so we have a...
You know what perks my penis?
There you go.
Perks my penis.
But perks is like happy.
Oh, yeah. Well...
You just think about it.
You deal with your story because I've already heard your story.
Okay.
So
So you're just gonna stop listening?
I'm gonna look at random P words.
No, you have to interact with me.
I am. I promise.
Anyways, okay. So this is what happened. So we're staying at this Eco Adventures, and it's really cool. There's multiple different places you can stay in, but we stayed in a yurt, which is just like a super fancy tent. It has a bathroom in it. It's really awesome. And each of these yurts have their own like campsite. So you get your own fire pit and your own like Muskoka chairs. So ours, our little fire pit and our chairs backs on to like a forest that has like a drop off. So there isn't any access from like the other yurts beside us. You cannot go through our campsite to get to the other one in the back. You can go in the front because it's all open that way. But the back is a private little like sanctuary. So we're there and we're inside and we're just chatting. And all of a sudden the children of the corn come out and there's a bunch of kids in our backyard. And we were like, what the hell? So at first we were like, okay, like they're kids, right? We're all moms. So we were like, whatever, that's fine. And then it happened like 3 or 4 other times. And so it got to the point where it was a little frustrating because like we were changing or like it's like literally Jen was making me laugh so hard because she's like every single one of these kids that just walked through, like they have to go around our fire pit through our Muskoka chairs, stared her in the face, like into her eyes as they walked by. She's like, what happens if I was changing? And they all just like looked into my soul. So I went outside and this little girl's walking by in our place again, just like taking her time. I'm like, hey, sweetie, I'm like, can we help you? And she's like, just staring at us. I'm like, what do you need? Like, where's your campsite? She's like, I'm looking for my sister. I'm like, okay, well, she's not back here. I'm like, let's go try to figure out where she is. So I take her out to the front and there's a mom who's walking by with the other group of kids. And I'm like, okay, sweetie, like, do you know where your sister is? Like loud enough that she kind of like the mom I'm hoping is like hearing. She's like, oh, sorry. She's like, yeah, like they're all over the place. And I was like, no worries. Like I have 2 kids, like no big deal. And then it continued to happen. And this for me, it was a little frustrating because I think it's just as me as a parent, if my kid does something that is affecting somebody else, like in whatever they are doing, I am like hyper aware of that now. And I don't want that to happen again. Right. And maybe that's just me, but it was Jen and Jamie too. Like we were all like, what the hell? And so it just kept happening. And we were like, just flabbergasted. And I can't tell you how like not okay. Like it wasn't like there was a trail behind our campsite. It was a private like site.
They're just hanging out in your backyard.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like that. And all the other ones, like, because we were in between like 2 families, I think. So they were just like kind of going back and forth, but they were exploring all of them.
Did those families know each other or they met there?
No, they went together. But like,
that would have been good for you to be shoved over to the other side.
Totally.
That sucks for the kids.
But it doesn't because their camp, like their fire pit and all of their chairs was at the front of their yurt. There was no need to go in the back. Like both of their sites, theirs were at the front because you didn't have access at the back. And this is beyond it being like an invasion of privacy. The drop off
dangerous
is so dangerous.
How old were these children?
Honestly, anywhere from 7 to the youngest was probably 3. Like it was like to maybe even younger than that, because I at one point was trying to talk and he just stared at me like what's happening? And I was like concerned for their safety because they would have fallen down the hill. Like literally it was like the biggest drop off. So that was like a little frustrating. They didn't do it after like the 16th time. It kind of just stopped. But the other thing I wanted to tell you that I didn't tell you is we went axe throwing, and it was me, Jamie, and Jen. So it's the 3 of us. And then there were 2 other groups of 2. Okay. So they were like, how do you guys, how do you want to split up here? There's 2 groups because there's 2 axe throwing like locations. So they were like, why don't we do like, we could do like one person from the 3 over here. We were like it's both of them and us. Like, this isn't a mixer. Why are you trying to like split us up? It was so weird. So finally, like somebody was like, I said, well, why don't we stay together and like the 2 groups can stay over there? And they're like, yeah. And then the one guy took it so seriously. So we were all practicing and the one guy throws his axe. Okay. And this is after all of us like just completely bailed. And it was like a far distance. This wasn't like battle axe. Like it was way harder. And so he gets it like on the board. And so we're like, I'm very sarcastic. So I was like, oh yeah, okay. Like he hasn't done this before. Like, okay, he probably works here. I don't. I've never done this. And I was like, okay. Like I was just joking. And he was so serious about it. I swear. And then his lovely wife, he hasn't. He's literally never done this. I'm like, I know. I was just joking. Like it's just because he was so good. Yeah, I don't work here. I'm like, got it. No problem. I think he was. You
know, people don't know your sense of humor when they've never met you before.
But it was so obvious.
This is what I'm gonna say. It's like, at the same token, if a complete stranger makes a comment like that, 99.8% of the time they're joking.
And while I was laughing and smiling,
yeah, they're joking. Just a heads up.
Yeah.
Just in case you overhear someone say, "Hey, that person probably works here." It's actually a compliment because you're good at something.
Yeah.
And the person's being funny. So back to the kids thing.
Yeah.
So I feel for you guys. You're absolutely right. Invasion of privacy, especially if the back of the yurt is where you guys change and get all naked and stuff. I must admit, as a kid who grew up in the summers at a trailer park, we roamed the trailer park like crazy. Roamed it. Walked through people's campsites because you have to take a path all the way up and then to the right and then all the way back down. Or you just walk right through people's campsites and go to the other side. And I would be lying if I said I didn't just do that.
No.
We got in trouble. We got in trouble a bunch of times.
Yeah.
There's, especially in like, because the campsites that we grew up in, they were like permanent home campsites. And like people live there for the whole summer, or at least like half of the year live there. And so the elderly people that lived there really didn't like when we did that.
It.
And I used to be like, piss off. Yeah. Like I'm trying to save myself a walk around here. I'm not doing anything. I'm not peeping through your window. I'm literally just trying to save some time here. So I feel for those kids, especially if they were 7 years of age, but the 3-year-old, that's a little bit of a different story.
There was like, I swear there was like 9-10 kids. Like it was like a parade of children.
So DK sent me
1 or 2 times, fine.
So DK sent me
10 to 12 times. Come on.
So DK sent me something because DK and Andy, they have a trailer and we went there and had a good time there. And she sent me this video. Did she send you the video? It's like trailers are like just an excuse to drink.
Yeah. True.
So when you take your kids camping, and in your case, you're not camping. Let's be clear. You had a Keurig machine. I
brought the Nespresso.
You had an espresso machine with you.
I didn't say we were camping. I said we were glamping.
No, I understand. But what I'm getting at is when parents bring their kids to these glamp sites or campsites, the truth of the matter is, especially when there's a group of people, multiple campsites,
they just want to drink and have the kids play.
That's exactly it. So it's like, I understand it's inconvenient for you. I got a funny story, but I got to share with you
what
later.
your understanding is we had so much patience. And we were like, listen, at the end of the day, it's really not like, who gives a shit? It got to the point where it was like, when we were changing, it was uncomfortable. And then beyond all of that, it was a pure safety thing. Like literally your kids are on the edge of a huge drop down. What is happening here? And I agree with you. The moms obviously went and wanted to have a good time, have some drinks around their campfire. I'm so here for that. It's also something like one of the girls said, they were like, I think it's just like when you're away and you don't have your kids, you don't want other people's kids around, right?
You don't want kids.
So we were like, okay. And again, it happened like a dozen times. So if it was like a few times, literally this wouldn't even be a story, but it was so many times that I was like, bro, here's
the funny thing about our generation. I feel like we are so protective of our children.
Mm-hmm.
Riley wants to go across the street, not across the street. She wants to go down the road, 3 houses down the road. And what do?
We watch.
I watch her walk to the house.
Yeah.
My parents.
Yeah. Come home before the street lights are on.
I'm not even joking. That's just the way that it was. Yeah. And their generation.
They didn't care.
They didn't care at all. Pack yourself a lunch.
Yeah. Here's a piece of bread.
Pack yourself a lunch. Yeah. Have at it, kids. I find like today you look at that situation and say, oh, the cliff was whatever. I can guarantee you with certainty I would have scaled down that hill.
No, you wouldn't.
As a kid, we would have scaled down it.
Maybe.
There's no chance.
Too young.
If I was at a campsite and I saw that there was a cliff of some sort, I can guarantee you as a kid, especially at 7, I would have scaled up and down it.
Honestly, right? There is a cliff on the other side. So there's 2 rows of yurts that is unscaled. Like you would die.
Okay. Well, maybe I would have chosen not that one.
You would have died.
Maybe I would have gone with that one.
Anyway, it was like one of those things where we were like, okay, like it's not bothering us, but at the same time, like, come on.
Let's change subjects for a moment here because I like this one. And this is actually what our podcast is supposed to be about today. So let's jump into this, shall we?
Okay.
A couple of weeks ago, Riley said something to me that hurt my heart. And we all know that. She said some things that hurt my heart and we shared it. And there were a lot of you that had some feedback around that. It was all positive.
And it just Ryan's referring to like where basically Riley is now more interested in hanging out with her friends than she is hanging out with us. So we were like, oh, we love you. So sweet. And
that was sweet. And that was cute. And how she postured it was amazing. Daddy, I will always love you. But, right? Well, yesterday, Riley came up to me and said, Daddy, can I have a hug? I'm like, yeah, sure, obviously. So I gave her a hug and she hugged me and she squeezed me nice and tight. And then she backed off and had this like perplexed look on her face. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, I thought you were skinnier. I'm like, what?
So savage.
I'm like, what? And she's like, well, I thought you were skinnier. And so I got to be honest, I was pissed. Mm-hmm. And I walk away and I can't help it. But I'm like, I walk away. I'm probably 7 steps away. I'm like, what the fuck?
No, you didn't say that.
Yes, I did.
To her?
No, to myself.
Oh, I heard you walk away and then like a couple steps and then I heard, don't say that to people.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, I walk away. I'm maybe 10 steps away from her. I'm like, what the fuck? I can't let that not happen. Like, I can't not say something.
Right.
And so I turn around. I'm like, Riley,
you can't say that to people.
You can't say that to people. Yeah, and she's like, what? And she always plays this like innocent, like,
I know.
I don't know what you're talking about. And then she gets this like weird look on her face, which if you're listening to this in a car, you can't see my face.
Yeah, but she's
but there's like, and she like drops her mouth down and opens her tongue up.
Of like when like, you know that she's in the wrong.
I don't know what's wrong. I wasn't saying you're fat. I'm like, yes, you were. Well, I didn't mean it like that. I looked at your shirt and I thought that
it was like bulky on the sides because she was telling me about this. She's like, Mom, I wasn't trying to hurt Dad's feelings. And she did say, and I see that it probably came out that way, but his shirt on the sides were bunched up and I went to go straighten his shirt. And I got, what came out is like, I thought that you were skinnier. Like I didn't. And I'm like, Riley, literally, here's a shovel for the rest of the hole that you're digging yourself. Like you made a bad comment. You can't say that. And your dad's upstairs crying.
Terrible. And so it got me thinking a couple of things.
About how shitty kids can be.
Yeah. Like kids say some mean things.
Mm-hmm.
And so Brittany and I started doing some research for this podcast. And believe it or not, there's a ton of articles that are available to you. And I'm sure there's a ton of experts that are available to you on how to manage this.
Mm-hmm.
So
without being like, what the
without
fuck?
saying, without doing what I did, essentially. And so I'm going to go through this list with you, and then let's just kind of talk about it. And then I've got some funny stories to share of like what kids say and funny things that they said, including some of the things that I said in my life.
I actually do have one.
Do you?
Was said to me, not that I said.
Okay. So here are the top 5, or here are the 5 steps that you need to take when your kid says something mean to you, mean-spirited to you.
Right.
Number 1, this was not what I did.
Yeah.
Number 1, try to not take it personal.
It's so hard though. Like, how?
When your kid says something like, I hate you, although you're like offended by that, you got to realize that they're managing some emotion.
Okay, so but my question is how, because I feel like if they said, I hate you, okay, which our kids have both said
all
that
the
to
time.
us.
For me, all the time. You, not so much. Cooper said it to me last night.
Really?
In a nice way.
Oh, okay. So that I feel like is easier not to take personally than a direct insult to your appearance.
You're fat.
Yeah. Like, no, but seriously, I do think it's different because when they're saying something like, I hate you, it's typically coming from a feeling of frustration and anger that they don't know how to express, right? Where when they're like, maybe I guess it is the same. Like if they're just trying to hurt you because they're hurt. Yep. But at the same time, like the fuck?
So when someone calls you, when your child says something like, oh, you're not very attractive, or you should lose some weight or something along those lines.
Or at least, Mom, you didn't put makeup on today.
Number 1 step,
you look tired.
Try not to take it personally. They are just expressing what they think, and what they think, although you're not supposed to take it personally, it's sometimes personal.
Yeah.
But do yourself a favor and try not to take it personally.
Because the whole thing is that we often forget that kids are communicating with their brains that are not fully formed. So what we think is like, why would you say that? Like in common sense isn't like that common for them. They don't really have that sense.
They didn't realize that they have to filter those thoughts.
Yeah, their actual feelings might be different, but that's how it came out.
Here's why it's important not to take it personal. Because step number 2 is give yourself a timeout.
Yeah.
When your child, which I also did not do.
Yeah.
When your child says something, don't take it personal, because when you take it personal, your immediate reaction is to react to it.
Mm-hmm.
So recognize that they're just saying words. Sit with those words in a timeout. Gather your thoughts, gather your feelings, gather your emotions so that you can educate them afterwards. And when you start to educate your children, you start by letting them know that what they said to you hurt your feelings. Now, I have heard many things about this subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
Some things, some people, some experts say, absolutely always tell your kids that they've hurt your feelings.
Yeah. And then some are like,
never tell them that you hurt your feelings.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that.
I think you should definitely let them know that it did hurt your feelings. But I do agree with the space. And that's like anything. I think you can relate that to anything. Like if somebody sends you an email, it's like you want to just respond. You're wanting to respond to a troll. I've now learned to take minimum 24 hours. I'll write out my response in my notes. And then if I still feel that way, I'll send it.
24 hours.
24 hours.
Wow. Someone's sitting there waiting for a response.
No.
You make them wait 24 hours.
No, I mean like if it's an aggressive, if it's heated.
Yeah.
And like your response is heated, I think that it's super important to wait that 24 hours because I read something somewhere that like emotions, you experience the full like range of an emotion. And it's like something like 17 seconds, like your full degree of that emotion. So say it's anger, it's like an actual amount of time. And then after that amount of time is when your body is like cools off and can experience maybe more practical emotions to see outside of that one like spotlight emotion.
There are many people that are sitting in jail right now because in the first 17 seconds to your numbers, and I don't know what those numbers are true.
For sure.
They reacted instead of. And I'm going to give you some advice, Brittany. I'm going to invite you, not advice. I'm going to invite you to do this instead of waiting 24 hours because this is something that's really cool. And I've used this numerous times.
Okay.
I will go to ChatGPT.
Okay.
And I will prompt ChatGPT like this. ChatGPT. I'll name it. Hey, dear ChatGPT.
Which is an AI, by the way.
I am experiencing frustration with a colleague. I would like to deliver the following message to them in a way that doesn't come across angry, but does get my point across. And here's the point that I'm trying to convey.
Right. That's interesting.
And then I'll send my email over.
I should have did that.
It will read my email and it will reword it in a way that is constructive criticism, but not in an anger way.
I literally should have done that. I just sent an email.
And I'm telling you, the minute I reread what it is that it writes to me, I'm like, that's exactly how I feel.
Right.
Like it knows if you prompt it,
knows,
if you prompt it properly,
and
you give it direction. I'm trying to convey this message.
Yeah.
Please rewrite this. And it will. And it's brilliant. So I would highly recommend that.
But even then, like, I love that idea because sometimes I find it like, I think most people, when you're angry, it's hard to articulate your feelings. Like if we're heated and we're in a discussion, I typically get like, I close off because I'm so angry. I can't even form my thoughts. Yep. So that's a really great tool to help you. And I still feel like you should wait.
So here's what so we had a colleague, one of our colleagues came up to me and said, Ryan, I'm struggling. One of my customers is dealing with this thing and it's pissing me off. And I want to tell him that, like, I want to tell him to fuck off.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, she's like, can you read my email? So I read my email. I'm like, can you tell me what your intentions and the outcome of this email are? What are your intentions and what's the desired outcome? She's like, I'd never thought about that. I'm like, well, never write an email without an intention and a desired outcome because you will not create the language to get the results you're looking for. You're just saying words to say words because you're angry. Then I said, let's take this to ChatGPT. I did with her intentions and outcomes. It rewrote the whole thing for her. She's like, oh my God. Now, she's like, I don't write like that.
Right.
And I said, no, you don't need to write like this. What you need to do is take this now and write it the way that you want to write it.
Right.
Using these prompts.
Sure.
Right. Using this structure. Anyways, highly recommend that. You can't do that with your kids.
Do you feel like really sidebar? Do you feel like the email that I just sent was like, I think it had an intention and an outcome that was respectful?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
That's why I said well written.
I mean, I did wait 3 days to send it.
I said well written.
Thank you.
Well written.
Thanks
Very
so much.
intentional and straight, clear request at the end. That's the outcome,
Got
right?
it.
You made a bold request at the end of it, which is a powerful statement.
Yes.
Anyways, going back to your children, when your children calls you fat, like me, you can't go to ChatGPT and write them. So
dear ChatGPT,
once you've recognized that they're saying what they're saying, they don't have a filter, and you've given yourself the timeout that you need to gather your thoughts, you now move into a conversation of letting them know that they've impacted you and hurt you. Okay. So then step 3 moves to step 4, which is what is focused on what comes after the hurtful words.
Okay.
Right? So you understand that?
Yeah. So you inform them that your feelings are hurt. This is how it impacted me. And now what is the actionable task, things that you're going to do?
So what you want them to know that you hurt them, and you want them to know what it was that they said that's hurtful. And you want them to let them know there are other ways to say what it is that you're trying to say.
I just read this and this is so hard and it's very confronting because I do this.
Go do it. Do it. Read it.
Okay. So it says like when your child says hurtful things, anything that follows might fall on your deaf ears. But when that's where you'll find that the real issue is. So try to listen. If your child says something like, I hate you, you never let me do anything fun, you might be tempted to react like this, which is 1000% what I have done. Oh, you hate me? Wait till you see how much fun you have. What does that say? Wait till you see how much fun you get to have now. So it's a threat,
bitch.
Right? Yeah. No, I do say that. Like with Coop, I'm like, I know. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, awesome. Good luck having fun later when like blah, blah, blah. And I do that. And I absolutely like it is 100% an emotional reaction. I didn't give myself a timeout. I didn't do the timeout thing. So instead,
not only that, but you don't follow rule number 4, which is key.
Yes. So instead of saying that, instead of saying, oh, you hate me, wait till you see how much fun you get to have now, try something like, those words were rude and I won't allow you to speak to me that way, but I'm willing to listen to why you feel like I don't let you do fun things, which is like so much more powerful. And I will say like, it's so easy. Like, I'm going to be real. It's so easy to see what you should have said after, like in any situation.
But you have to have the tools in the toolbox, and we're giving you the tools here.
But I honestly think the most important step that so far that we've went through is the timeout.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like
I agree
100% the timeout, because you cannot think clearly.
So what we're getting at here, and you know, Riley calling me chubby, there's nothing really for me. I can see why you think I'm chubby. What do you think we can do about that, right? And you know what? She's not wrong. I could have a conversation with Riley and I could allow her to recognize that what she said was real. I can validate her comment. I don't like it. It doesn't make me feel good, but I can certainly validate her comment. I did not.
Yeah.
But I could. And then that moves you. So essentially it's focus on the hurtful words, the words after. So restructure the sentence and then have a conversation about what it was that they talked to you about in a positive way. Validate their feelings, emotions, or whatever. And
your situation is so weird though, because I feel like
I'm not fat.
No, but it's not true. But it's also like, it wasn't like Riley came to you and was like dealing with, you know, the stress of the day and like she's taking it out on you. Like it was just out of nowhere.
Right. But here's the problem. If you don't do what we just walked through, number 5 is where the impact happens.
Yes.
Number 5 is the most important thing. Make sure your child knows that you still love them. Mm-hmm. Their hurtful words do not impact the love and care that you have for them. If you leave them with what I left Riley with, she now thinks that her and our relationship's not the same. I need to actually fix that when she comes back and mend that little fence, because yes, her words were hurtful. Yes, her words were inappropriate. Yes, there's multiple ways to say those things that are entirely different that would have had a completely different outcome. Mm-hmm. But because she didn't do what she did, and because I didn't do step 1 and 2, now there's an impact there. And the impact is way greater than her calling me chubby. Now, I worked out this morning. I woke up this morning, I went for a walk, and then I worked out heavy. And I'm going to eat clean, because you know what? The thing about Riley's comment, she's not wrong.
Yes, she is.
No, she's not. Like Riley's version of me is not my current version of me. And she reacted to that, right? She did. And so the reason I'm so gutted about it is because she's telling something that's true. If I had a 6-pack and she said, Dad, you're fat, I'd be like, Riley, you don't know what that word means. And it better be PH fat.
Yeah.
Because you're wrong. And it wouldn't hurt my feelings at all. I'm like, I in my head, I'd be like, that was stupid. But because she said something that actually triggered me and actually hurt my feelings, I reacted. So she's not wrong.
You know that saying,
she just shouldn't have said it.
Going back to the like making sure that you know that they know that you love them. Have you heard? And I have like, I agree with this statement, but then I'm also like, I don't know if I would word it like this, but I have heard people say this multiple times when you respond back with, I love you, but I don't like you very much right now. It's always love, but you cannot like them, which I think is powerful, but I actually don't think I like that.
I hate that.
Yeah, but a lot of people say
I hate it.
I'm like, I don't think that that's nice, especially when the kids are too young. Maybe when they're teenagers and they're doing some like bad shit. That's maybe something that I would be more comfortable saying, like, I love you. I will always love you, but I don't really like the person you're being right now. Like, that's definitely different, but I wouldn't maybe suggest doing that when they're this young, because they don't really understand the difference between like and love. Like, it's the same. I
don't suggest you ever tell your kid you don't like them.
I was just thinking about that because somebody had said that the other day and I was like, I don't really like that.
I can understand why someone would think it's a powerful statement.
If they're older.
But the problem with a child, especially a child who's under 7, is they don't hear the words you're saying. Mm-hmm. They make it mean something, and the meaning that they make is like everlasting.
1 second.
3333.
Yes, buddy. You did? Oh my God, good job, buddy. We're almost done, okay? Love you. Oh, that was cool. I was being a really nice mom. I was like, listen, you interrupted me. I'll validate your feelings. I love that you had goldfish and avocado. Moving on.
Good job, Mom. Good job. We're learning here.
Anyways, okay, let's go into some of the things that people have said that is funny.
So we thought it would be funny to read some of these, like,
kids say the darndest thing type things,
like Reddits and Twitter and all of those things.
Right.
Because I think this is hilarious. Everyone experiences it. Kids say things on a regular basis. In fact, going back to the trailer thing for a second, I'm going to give you a perfect example of like saying things because you it makes sense as a kid to say these things, but it's wildly inappropriate.
Okay.
One time we were at my trailer. I would have been 9-10 years of age. I think I've told this story before on this platform. If I have, great. If I haven't, you're going to hear it again. And we're out in the backyard. We're at our campsite and we got a fire pit going at night. And then the trailer on a diagonal across from us also has one. And my uncle likes to drink with his buddy. And so we walk over there, my grandmother, myself, my cousin, my uncle, and he's talking to his buddy and his girlfriend. And so I'm sitting by the campfire, and it's like built into me as a kid, and I do this on a regular basis, is to try to figure out how shit works, right? So I'm like, what's the dynamic here? So I said to the woman, I said, oh, are you guys married? And she said, no, we're not married. And I said, oh, are you boyfriend and girlfriend? She said, nope. I said, oh, so why are you here? And she's like, oh, we just like to hang out and blah, 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 blah.
How old were you?
I would have been 9, maybe 10.
Okay.
And I said, oh, so you're a slut.
Stop.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not.
How did you even know what that word meant?
Because I had 2 older sisters, one of which was 5 years older than me. And as a mid-teenager, those were words they used on a regular basis.
I would not be using the timeout steps. I would be like, excuse you?
So my grandmother was mortified. She like absolutely mortified, grabbed me by the wrist. This is the only time in my entire life my grandmother was like mean to me.
Yeah.
Grabbed me by my wrist, pulled me inside, and told my grandpa what I said.
Yeah.
He was absolutely mortified. Like my grandfather, that's not okay. That was inappropriate.
Yeah.
But then my grandfather did something that I never thought I'd hear him say. He stuck up for me. He said, well, the way you have to know what she said in the way that she said it. He's like, she set him up and he just followed the path that she took. She led him down this road to insinuate that she's here just to have sex with the guy. So he's not wrong.
Yeah. I think it's like one of those things where your intention as a 9 or 10-year-old wasn't to like sexually exploit her. Because you don't really know the impact of your words. You just know that if somebody's going to be there with a guy that led to sex, your interpretation of that was the word slut. Unfortunately, and fortunately today, that word is not used as much anymore because it's just ridiculous. Like,
it is what it is. And like, there was nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But as a 9-year-old, she wasn't married to him. She wasn't his girlfriend, and they were there just to have sex.
I'm surprised that your grandfather was like,
in my mind, that meant that she was a floozy.
That's
right?
ridiculous.
Anyways, I said that. I shouldn't have said that. But that was funny.
That was funny.
Okay, so here's one I think is really funny.
Okay.
When my brother was little, he asked my aunt how she can make the scale go so high.
That's so mean.
But like, again, super, super innocent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I read one that said, my 4-year-old niece told my mother, Grammy, I'm allergic to you wasting my time. Sometimes kids are
Speaking of allergic,
funny.
I got allergic one. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Let me pull it up because that reminded me of this. My 3-year-old told me that oh no, that wasn't this one. It was, where was it? It was right here. Yeah. So, the 4-year-old says to his dad, Dad, can we have a kitten? The dad says, no, I'm allergic. I can't be in the same house as cats. The son says to him, well, I think you should sleep outside then.
I just love that there's no
zero
like afterthought to them, right? Like it's so good. Okay, this is a funny one. When my brother was about 2, we were at a full McDonald's ordering food while Dad parked the car. My mom told us, here comes Daddy, let's go hold the door for him. And my baby brother screamed, yes, because Daddy is going to jail tomorrow. Every head swivels in our direction. My poor father walks in obliviously and confused to why everyone in McDonald's is gawking at him. My mom mutters to him, I know everyone is staring at you, but it's because your son just announced you're on your way to jail. Like, I love that. That's so funny. Because maybe she said something like, yeah, if your dad doesn't get over here, like he's going to be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
he's going to prison.
He's going to prison or something like that. I love it. Kids are hilarious.
So this is something along the lines of what Riley said to me, but in a much nicer way. So this woman writes on Twitter, because this was a Jimmy Fallon skit. Mm-hmm. She writes on Twitter, don't worry, Mom. I think all your chins are pretty. Destroying my confidence, God. One compliment at a time.
That's like Riley. Like when if I don't put mascara on, she does this thing where she's like, Mom, like I'm not trying to be mean, but like, did you not put mascara on today? And I was like, no. She's like, yeah, I can tell. Yeah. I'm like, fuck you.
That was one here. The girl said,
you look tired. Thank you so much. It's just a nice way of saying you look like shit. And adults say that too. Nobody wants to hear they look tired. Just keep that shit to yourself.
Don't do it.
No one cares. They know.
If they look tired, they probably feel tired. So fuck off.
Exactly.
So kindergarten, this kindergarten teacher, one of our kindergarten teachers said, our kids said to her, Miss, you could wear makeup if you wanted to look pretty. And she was wearing makeup.
Oh my God.
This is, these are fun. I like these things because kids are the best. Kids are the absolute best. So I got one more thing that I think is really funny that I said one time.
Okay. At band camp?
No. Because when you're a kid, you try to process things. But when I was the youngest of 3, and I was 5 years younger than my older sister. And so conversations happen at the dinner table and you're privy to these conversations, but you don't really know what they mean. But you don't want the world to know what you mean. In fact, when you're a super young kid, you want to tell the world everything, like literally, because you want people to know that you're in the know. So one time, my sister Laura, when she was, a teenager, early teenager, maybe not a teenager quite yet, I don't even know, she got her period, and they were having a conversation, her and my mom, and I left the house and told my neighborhood that my sister got puberty.
Got puberty?
I'm like, my sister got puberty today.
Oh, that's so cute.
Because I was proud of her.
Yeah.
Like I thought, like my sister's doing something cool. Like
just met I don't know what it means. At the trailer, and my sister is in puberty.
My sister, she's got puberty now.
She's got it.
So
she's sick with the puberty.
I was going to tell you another funny story, but I think we're out of time.
Yeah, but that's okay. We can save them for the next podcast, and we're going to talk about a movie, so we'll do our little. Yeah, we'll save that. We got a bunch coming up. So.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, kids say the darndest things.
Listen intently.
Take a time out and don't do what Ryan does.
Don't take it personal. Take a time out.
Don't say fuck you.
Let them know that it impacted you. Let them know that there's other ways of saying things, and then remind them that you still love them. Your relationship is whole, perfect, and complete.
And that you're not fat.
And with that, thanks, babe. And with that, I bid you adieu. Peace out, A-Town. Boop, 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 boop. Aside from my soul.